Yo, man, what's going on, everybody, man? It's your boy, BruhmanTv, man. We back again with another crazy reaction video. If you all could do me a huge favor right now, and I'm telling you all, it would make a big difference with everything, just stop what you're doing and hit the like button. I don't want to have to beg or anything. Just please do me a favor and hit that like button, because nobody really have recently, and I'm trying to see something just a little different. So if you all can do me a huge favor before we get into this, it will literally take 5 seconds out of y'all day to just help me out, man. Like, you know, I'm doing some crazy work right here, and the only thing I'm asking for is 1 like. It will make a huge impact on this channel's success and this video's progress. So 1 like can go a long way. It can take all the pain away, man. Take 5 seconds out your day. Just please do. By today's title and thumbnail, y'all know the slogan, man. You already know what to expect. I don't got to do too much talking. Let's go to get into this right now and see what can possibly change our mind and change our reality.
Listen to what Ariana Grande has to say about the devil.
About this one was just like, it was just like a story that we made up and we're going with, and like, yeah, Tommy was like, what about I've seen the devil, and I was like, oh yeah, that's fun, let's tell that story. And then yeah that seems fun. Yeah, I love that. My Tommy was like, what about the devil? I was like, fun, you know. Like, what? No, sorry. Oh god, the conspiracies that are gonna come from that clip. Anyway,
you will be another member of the Illuminati. That's my favorite thing.
I love that thing too.
Everyone always thinks we're part of the Illuminati. And somebody was like, yeah, they're witches. I'm like, if I'm a witch, I have the least amount of power in the world.
That is like such a thing. Like, I have like friends whose moms are like,
it's a thing.
Is it true? And I'm like, what?
I had a family member ask me.
Yeah, actually it is. Yeah. Cheers. Yeah. So scary.
It's the weirdest thing ever.
I don't think I ever heard of anything regarding around Ariana Grande doing any type of initiation to be at the level that she's at now. If y'all found anything, please send it over my way.
Always going to put the truth in your face. Watch this.
When shuttles blow up, it's not always an accident.
What do you mean, not an accident? Who is this guy singing?
And who am I, a conspiracy fly? Did you know NASA means deceive in Hebrew?
I did not.
The Denver airport was built by the Illuminati.
Now remember what the fly said. NASA means to deceive in Hebrew. Which is correct. Hebrew is the language that the Bible was written in. So in the Garden of Eden, when Satan deceived Eve to eat the forbidden fruit, God said unto Eve, what is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. Look at that word right there, beguiled. Alright, so if we go into the biblical usage of this term beguiled, it means to deceive. And if you go back to the Hebrew text in the original Hebrew Bible, it's NASA. So NASA means to deceive. Remember, it was the serpent that beguiled Eve, or deceived Eve. It's not a coincidence that NASA's logo is literally a snake or a serpent tongue. Look at that. You see that red tongue going through it? Oh yeah, and what's the definition of a serpent? A sly or treacherous person? Oh, someone who exploits a position of trust in order to betray it. I wonder who that is. Someone who exploits a position of trust in order to betray that trust. Satan, the serpent, is using NASA to deceive everyone, to believe in evolution rather than the creation account in Genesis 1. All throughout the Bible, it explains a flat, stationary plane with the sun, moon, and stars inside of a glass dome firmament. The Bible says in Romans 3 verse 4, let God be true, but every man a liar. When they put truth in our face like that, they're fulfilling the prophecy of Luke 12 verse 3. Therefore, whatsoever ye have spoken in darkness shall be heard in the light, and which ye have spoken in the ear in the closets shall be proclaimed upon the housetops. So whatever they speak about in secret, they must proclaim it upon the housetops. They have their ways. Right, we got to make sure we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, all right, or else he'll get an advantage over us. This is why I've gone ahead and made the True Earth book for you guys, so you can have all this information at your fingertips. Go download it right now. It's in my profile. Make sure you guys like and follow, and I'll see you in the next one.
Man, when I tell y'all it is a deceiving world that we live in, I really mean that.
So I know y'all heard about the winter storms and everything that's coming, that's about to hit Texas and everything, right? I've been told y'all that they put the truth in the movie, and y'all gotta take this shit way more serious, bro. Pay attention.
Well, it's that
Listen
time
up.
of year again when we start to see articles and posts on social media about the polar vortex. Let's do two things. One, we'll talk about exactly what it is, and two, we'll talk about the impacts that we could see from it here in Southeast Texas. Now, very simply put, the polar vortex is just a bitter air mass that goes around the Arctic Circle. Typically in the winter, we see cool to mild temperatures in the 30s, 40s, and 50s at worst. Up in the Arctic Circle with the polar vortex, those temperatures are 30, 40, and 50 degrees below zero. Now, typically, we keep that air bottled up across the Arctic thanks to a very strong jet stream. But what happens when that jet stream weakens? It starts to buckle and it becomes wavy. And as that happens, we can get loads breaking off from the polar vortex of that bitter cold air. And sometimes it can dive as far south as the Gulf states.
What I'm about to tell you is supposed to be confidential. Several hours ago, 3 helicopters went down over Scotland. They crashed because the fuel in their lines froze.
And what temperature does...
Negative 150 degrees Fahrenheit. We had to look it up. The temperature dropped phenomenally fast. On the ground, people froze before they could get out of their cars even.
Shout out to
First,
bro.
the deers were going crazy, and now they're getting frozen. Temperatures hit negative 58 in Russia, and there are freezing animals everywhere, y'all.
It seems just like a hurricane.
Only hurricanes don't form over land. Air mass that goes around the Arctic Circle.
Y'all understand why I be putting up the movies and stuff now, right? Like, do it make sense now? You feel me? Wake up! So
It definitely makes sense. But at the same time, I don't feel like that the world will end once again by an ice age. I do feel like that the world will end in a different way because, you know, the Most High God promised to never end the world the same way that he did once before. So I highly doubt that will happen again. And that's just me speaking from a biblical standpoint.
Well, I mean, he claimed that he was by Chris Stokes and everything else like that.
Right. You know, the way that he responds to certain things, something traumatic has definitely happened. So
me and Boo was in a room together. Chris Stokes put us in a room together and made us do stuff together. That's what they do. That's how they move. But I tell you right now, let somebody do that to my kid, I will blast their brains out in broad daylight.
Omarion just joined the chat on the growing rumors that Diddy will be prosecuted for his alleged SA crimes, and Omarion is now spilling the tea on the widespread SA of young male artists in the industry, including the infamous allegations made by B2K member Raz B against Chris Stokes. Meanwhile, viral theory is spreading online about Chris Stokes being part of something called the Boule, a rumored branch of the Illuminati that Diddy is also allegedly part of. According to this theory, powerful men who are part of this society perform ritual SA on boys and young men, and word on the street is that these rituals are rampant in the music industry. But what exactly does Omarion know about these rumored rituals? Did Chris Stokes and Diddy really victimize B2K members? Let's break it down.
After that, we were able to get him in a better place, you know, where he felt comfortable.
The never-ending saga about Diddy being a real-life demon and deviant just took another disturbing turn after Omarion reportedly decided to speak out about the SA that B2K members allegedly suffered at the hands of Chris Stokes and Diddy. Now, in case you're not familiar with Chris Stokes, he's a former record executive and the brains behind the Ultimate Group record label, whose roster included big names like B2K, Omarion, Janae Aiko, and Marcus Houston. Now, let's rewind the clock to 2007 for a bit of context. One of the B2K members, Demario Rasby Thornton, who just so happens to be Chris's cousin, dropped a bombshell accusation, claiming he was essayed by both Chris and Marcus Houston when he was just 11 or 12. According to Rasby, the alleged essay took place when Chris was managing B2K. Raz also shared a video of a deeply unsettling conversation with former label mate, Quinton Tarver, where they laid bare graphic horror stories about the alleged essay by both Marcus Houston and Chris Stokes. At one particularly distressing point, Quinton recounted an incident where Marcus Houston allegedly essayed him, while Chris Stokes stayed on the bed and watched the attack happen.
I laid there on the floor. Chris was on the bed. Marcus was right there next to me. He tried to penetrate me. And then I told him I was bleeding. I said, it hurts. Wow, what the fuck? It hurt, dude. It hurt. It hurt me. I'm a kid. So he was like telling me that it's okay. I was like, okay, it's okay. You put it in my hole, bro. Yeah, me my.
Sad, man.
When Chris laying on the bed watching with the big polo, teddy bear, and the big pillows on the bed. And watching.
According to Quinton, this harrowing attack took place in Chris's bedroom, and then Rasby chimed in, vividly describing the setting and claiming that he too was essayed in that very same bedroom.
They owe Rasby an apology, man. Everything is coming out about Diddy and whoever he's having allegations with, but if this stuff is true, man, then they deserve what's coming for them, man. Like, all this stuff deserves to be exposed.
Stop! You're not gonna want to miss this crazy. Have y'all heard about this giant living flesh pit that is in Texas? Oh yeah, and by the way, this giant flesh pit have creatures inside of it. Let's get into this video. It is apparently a giant living organism that is in the middle of nowhere in West Texas.
What?
As y'all can see right there, it obviously have organs. This blob of flesh has organs. Oh, but it gets better. Caution, warning, right? The system of the living organism environment is actively hostile to human life. And it gets better. Serious injuries and deaths might occur without proper equipment. Interesting. And y'all remember the living creatures that I was telling y'all about? These are the fucking living creatures that are inside of this living flesh pit. Straight out of a sci-fi movie. Then it said if you see one of these creatures inside of the park, make sure that you bag out if it doesn't notice your presence. And change your course without disturbing it. Because most life forms inside of this flesh blob are tolerant to humans. And some of them are not. Isn't this like amazing? Let's not forget in 2007 when this giant flesh pit caused 750 bodies and injured over 1,000 people when the amusement park collapsed. Let me know what y'all think about Texas having this giant flesh pit in a comment. Like a follow for more wisdom and stay tuned. Follow me on YouTube if you want that exclusive content.
Hey, I'm gonna be completely honest. Can anybody from Texas down below confirm this? Because his videos be cool, but sometimes he be saying a lot. But can anybody from Texas confirm this? And I feel like I need to do my own research to kind of understand on more of a deeper meaning what could really be going on.
States to avoid to survive World War III. This is not happening, but tensions are high. Looking at the map with the states with the highest priority targets, and the primary locations of these targets are Washington, D.C., which is in Maryland, bordering Virginia. Everybody knows that was number one. Then we have Colorado and this love triangle between these states, bordering Nebraska and Wyoming. And finally, the last state is Montana. Montana would be a big boy target. Honorable mentions are the Dakotas. They had to be involved on this list. If you want to survive, these are
that attempting to use known cloning techniques to actually create a human being is untested, unsafe, and morally unacceptable. 2 days ago, the Senate voted to take the time necessary to carefully craft a bill that will ban the cloning of human beings while preserving our ability to use cloning technology for morally acceptable and medically important purposes.
It's crazy because it seemed like that they want to expose the information but not try to confirm it to us.
Joe Biden posted this evil picture, and this is what it could mean. Everybody that seen this was shocked that the president would even post something like this on his main account. First off, the caption says, just like we drew it up. Then he has this evil issue with red lasers coming out his eyes. Now, we all know the government controls the world and plans things in advance, which could explain the caption. But what's even more strange is that hidden in the description, all he put was Dark Brandon. And after researching what the means, I figured out that this is Joe Biden's evil alter ego. Now, why the president have an alter ego? That's crazy. And what's strange about this is that he posted this right after the Super Bowl. And this year's Super Bowl broke the record for the most live viewers, with over 123 million people watching. So while everybody was distracted watching the Super Bowl and Usher, let's see what Dark Brandon was doing behind the scenes. First, dozens of people were killed in a city called Rafah by American-funded bombs. And the sad part is, this city was full of kids and civilians. That's probably why he waited until everybody was distracted first. And not only that, this plane mysteriously crashed and ended up killing 6 people, including the CEO of a major bank in Nigeria. His wife and son was on board too. People are saying the government was involved because he was getting ready to expand his bank to Asia. That would have put him in direct competition with American banks, so they made sure that didn't happen. And ironically, him and his family were on the way to the Super Bowl when this happened. Rest in peace to them, man. Who knows? Maybe I'm tripping. This could all be a big coincidence, and this whole time he was just talking about the Super Bowl. But let me know what you think in the comment section, and be sure to hit follow to stay updated. Y'all stay conscious.
Yeah, it was a lot of events that went on that Super Bowl night and even the day prior. So when he tweeted that, I'm not going to lie, I felt a little weirded out as well, because nobody knew exactly what he could have been talking about. But there were a lot of important things that happened that particular day.
I think with every more extreme event, people are waking up to the fact that these are being manipulated, that the technology exists. It's in the U.S. Patent Office. You've documented it. That, you know, weather modification, it used to be considered a fringe conspiracy theory. Now it's just everyday news about what's happening in Dubai, for example. So what do you think is happening with this big Arctic blast situation that's unfolding right now for North America?
Well, it's interesting they put labels on these engineered storms like that. The Arctic blast straight out of the record warm Gulf of Mexico. And they push this moisture, they manipulate it up the eastern seaboard, wrap it around a counterclockwise spinning low pressure zone, chemically nucleating it the entire way. And as you get further along in this process, you have the ice storm transition zone between the warm flow of Gulf of Mexico moisture and eventually what ends up being various forms of frozen material falling from the sky, chemically nucleated. And this frozen material, Mike, is falling at ever higher temperatures above freezing. It starts falling at far above freezing temperatures. Have you noticed that?
No. How is that possible?
Well, that's a good question. The Weather Channel is going to, climate engineering cover-up actors like those at the Weather Channel are going to great length to trying to explain this away. But now they're routinely showing snow starting at 38, 39 degrees, sometimes 40 degrees or above. We typically see this here in our part of California when they're nucleating over us, and they are right now as well. So as this process continues, if they continue the chemical ice nucleating cloud seeding operations, the surface temperatures do drop, sometimes precipitously, depending on how much of this they apply and how long they apply it for. But if any of your listeners are watching Weather Channel or other climate engineering cover-up agencies, they're seeing this now routine listing of snow beginning to fall at far above freezing temperatures. So again, they should question this. The laws of physics have not changed, but we know from chemical ice nucleating patents that they can nucleate ice at temperatures of 10, 12, 14 degrees above freezing. And this is a very elaborate science, if you will, chemical ice nucleation. And people think it's always a given. It happens at 32 degrees. I'd encourage them to think of their first aid kit, Mike, with a chemical cold pack in it. I know you know what those are, and it can sit on a shelf at room temperature for decades. When you mix those chemicals together, you have ice instantaneously. They're doing this on an unimaginably massive scale into cloud moisture right now.
Okay, so they can induce then all the hazards on the ground that come with extra ice and extra snow. But what about this cold blast? Now, we're told that this Arctic air that's entering North America at minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit is blasting down from the Northwest all the way across the Midwest and the North Midwest. And it's even going to reach Texas and Louisiana, apparently, in a few days. And we're told that these temperatures will be, in some areas, a relative minus 58 degrees compared to the normal average for this time of year. And that's in, I think, Wyoming, and in Oregon, it's going to be like minus 30 or 35 compared to normal. Those are relative temperatures. But they tell us there's some kind of like high pressure warm spot over the North Pole or something that's causing this. I don't know. It never seems to make any sense. What do you think is happening?
This is a complex scenario. As far as the cold air goes, they're robbing Peter to pay Paul, so to speak. Yes, they're pushing cold air south, but cold air, a surface layer that they have helped to create by placing an ionosphere heater-induced high-pressure dome over the west and forcing much of the Pacific moisture clockwise up and around that dome. Then it ends up in Alaska and circulating again clockwise around that. They're chemically nucleating it the whole way. They have created a pool of surface cold air in parts of BC and parts of central Canada. They're pushing that south, combining that with a warm flow of moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, again, and that's circulating around a counterclockwise rotating low pressure zone where they're chemically nucleating it. And again, it's extremely obvious. If your listeners are watching Weather Channel, for example, they go to great length with many CGI diagrams to try to explain away why it's snowing on the surface at 40 degrees. And it's becoming ever more ridiculous as they try to cover the tracks of the climate engineers.
So, Dane, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is windy.com right now today. I just want to bring this up so you could comment on it. It's kind of what you're talking about, this warm...
Now, in this particular case, on this particular scenario, okay, what you're seeing there, and that's a great diagram to show, you don't have any organized moisture coming into the west. What you have is a very heavily nucleated drifting mass of moisture. You have it scattering. The frequency transmissions scatter that moisture over the widest possible area. That's part of solar radiation management, part of geoengineering. So what we end up with here in Northern California, Mike, is constant days of freezing, drizzle, drippy, no organized rain, no wind of anything to speak of here. And with the wind, it's either on or off. And in the heavily nucleated areas where they're sensationalizing these snowstorms, they definitely have the wind turned on. And they can do that by manipulating atmospheric pressure zones. So now what you see with these theaterized storms, Winter Storm Ember that just happened, Winter Storm Finn that's happening now, there is increasingly higher velocity surface straight line winds, which helps to augment the effectiveness of the endothermic reacting elements that are being seeded into the cloud moisture. So
they already tell us all the time that they make rain clouds. I mean, in Dubai, they make it rain particular times a year. What he's doing is basically just going into deep detail scientifically on how they do this manipulating as far as the weather to cause certain things to go on, but it could be a catastrophe for the future.
Banks don't lend money. Banks, again, at law, it's very clear, they're in the business of purchasing securities. That's it. So you say, okay, don't, confuse me with all that legalese. No. I want a loan. I want a loan. Yep. Fine, here's the loan contract, here's the offer letter, and you sign. At law, it's very clear, you have issued a security, namely a promissory note, and the bank is going to purchase that. That's what's happening at law.
Put it in layman's terms, what does that mean?
It means that what the bank is doing is very different from what it presents to the public that it's doing. How does this fit together? So you say, fine, the bank purchases my promissory note, but how do I get my money? I want, it's a loan, I want my
200 grand, right?
I don't care about the details, I want the money. The bank will say, well, you'll find it in your account with us. That would be technically correct. If they say, we'll transfer it to your account, that's wrong, because no money is transferred at all.
It's already
from anywhere inside the bank or outside the bank. Why? Because what we call a deposit is simply the bank's record of its debt to the public. Now, it also owes you money, and its record of the money it owes you is what you think you're getting as money, and that's all it is.
But I'm going to look more into this because it seems like what the guy was saying holds a lot of substance.
Mansfield, Ohio, the Ontario Movie Theater. I want you to pay very close attention if you live in that area to the two men in this video. I'm going to play this and then I'll be back.
I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. That was
like to read? Do any of you like to read? No. No?
I'm inserting! I'm dead. I'm done. Yeah, well, you're dead. Yeah, you keep going. Alright, that's it. Lock it.
Frostbite.
That's it. Here we go.
You'll keep it for the rest of your life.
I recorded this, so you're good. I know, but can we leave? Like, this booth?
Thank you to Jill Nicole on TikTok for posting this. I'll tag her. But the thing that concerns me with this is these girls are very clearly underage. No one's looking at them and getting confused and being like, oh, I thought they were older. No, they look like children. There's no reasonable explanation for a grown man to be forcing a conversation with children. He didn't bump into them and be like, hey, how you doing? He walked over, interrupted their game to try and force a conversation about reading books. And what also is concerning is a lot of times when you see a guy behaving creepy like this or doing this, he's by himself. No one's watching him. That's why he feels comfortable doing it. There are two of them who both seem to be supporting each other in this behavior. And that is very, very concerning to me. So here's a better look at the two of them. This is that second guy that came in.
Like Leatherface.
See him there. And then there's also the first guy, and you'll see a side view of him. If you have any information on these two guys, please contact the Ontario, Ohio Police.
I'm going to be completely honest. This is probably the most weirdest stuff Please make sure that you all are keeping an eye on your loved ones, kids, young cousins, because the world that we live in now is honestly sick.
So, I did the video of America being Egypt. This temple right here was supposedly built by Ramesses II and was discovered in 1813 by archaeologists. But what if I told you that was a this right here, pardon me, are the heads of that temple. It's kind of strange, ain't it? Now, I ain't the smartest man in the world, but it look like they building these themselves. I mean, it really look like they was building these. But why would they do that? I mean, you probably say some they found them and then they put it back together. They made this. I believe they made most of this back then. Act like they found some and be like, yo, this is what happened. This was in Egypt. America, no, this ain't. America's not Egypt. No, America's just America. America's not Egypt. This is Egypt here. Over there. Look that way. Little construction coming on real nice, ain't it? None of that even there at first. They construct us. They probably did this right around the time they did Mount Rushmore or something. Look what that to look like. They carved all that rock. Look at the Sphinx. Look at that. Ooh. And there are Sphinx in America. They didn't do that to it, did they? No. Now look how I look now. Right back to it. So you telling me they ain't built that? After you just saw them putting all this together. And not only just that, while they were putting this together, all that behind it wasn't even there. I guess they said, hey, let's not put this one all the way together, the second one, so it can look a little up. They lie to us all the time. But you can believe what you want, though.
The bricks weigh a ton apiece, and the type of technology that we will even need in today's generation, and none of the pictures show that there were some type of cranes that was lifting and moving certain things. So I'm not sure if this AI generated that he's showing us or these real pictures, because I have never seen them type of pictures before. Now I know that scientists probably take little pieces to do research to see how long things or how old things could be. My personal opinion, I think they were AI generated, but y'all can let me know what y'all think about that down below. Yeah, that was wild, man. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about this down below. This episode was pretty crazy, I'll tell you that. It was pretty cool. I feel like I learned some new things. Some things was kind of the same. Y'all can let me know how y'all feel about this down below, man. I do hope that you all enjoyed this. If you did, then please give this video a huge like. It would be highly appreciated, man. It'll help the video rank. But until then, I'll see you all tomorrow.